everyone, this is Tricia and welcome to my channel and my farmhouse wedding series. Alright, so today we're going to be making project number 4, and it is this floral entryway centerpiece. Alright everyone, for my particular arrangement, I'm going to be using this metal trough. I got this at Hobby Lobby. It was a great deal. I got it on clearance from their spring items from last year, and I've had it in my kitchen with fruit in it, but I decided that I would use it for this arrangement. So you can pretty much use anything. Something long would work well for this particular style of arrangement. You can use a basket, you can use a wooden box, or even a plastic tray. So this is what I'm using, and you can choose whatever color, whatever design. I'm going to go with this particular metal because I have been using this particular style metal in another arrangement in my farmhouse series, and I decided that I really like that. But otherwise, if you wanted, you could spray paint it white or an off-white. Okay, so for something large like this, we're going to need some lots of styrofoam. What I did is I purchased this large sheet of styrofoam, and I would recommend you purchasing something big like this because then you could use it for other projects, especially if you're doing wedding arrangements. You need a nice long sheet. This is a nice hard styrofoam. I love using this because it holds very well to faux flowers. Okay, so I'll be using some moss. You can use Spanish moss or green moss. This is used to cover our styrofoam wherever it may be showing through, or just cover it all completely. And then I have these greenery pins to adhere our moss so it doesn't move around and doesn't flop out of our arrangement. These are just regular wick candles. I also wanted something in my arrangement either to have the groom and the bride's name on it, or maybe even a picture. So consider putting something in the middle. This is what I just happened to make. So I'm also going to use some flowers, and I've been using these same flowers in my other arrangements. I introduced these flowers in a vlog, and I think I will add that to my, when I'm done with all of my videos, my farmhouse wedding series playlist. So if this is your first time watching and this is the only video you've seen, please check out the playlist for Farmhouse. This playlist will be ready in March of 2020. In case you're watching this years from now, you should know that it's already ready. If you're watching it now, it's not quite ready. But this will all be in that playlist when I'm done with all my videos, and you can watch all of them, and you'll see that I'm using these same flowers. And so you're going to need some. Now, you see a lot of flowers on here. I'm not going to use all of this, but because I'm doing multiple arrangements, and if you're doing a wedding, you're probably going to be doing the same. So you're going to want to buy larger bushes or so of flowers, because it'll go a long way rather than buying something small and then buying a ton of them. That being said, the only exception I think is really awesome is if you go to the Dollar Tree and buy a ton of their dollar floral bushes. Okay, I'm going to be using some greenery. Put that right here. Now I've been using this type of ivy, and I think I bought 3 bushes of this ivory, and this is the same bush that I've been cutting from now for like I think I did 2 other arrangements, so I still have some. So I'm going to be using the same one in this arrangement, whatever I might have left in there. I also purchased this really large fern bush, and like I said, you're going to do a lot of arrangements, you're going to use it, get yourself something large. It's actually more cost effective. This was a $25 bush of greenery, which is really nice, but I actually got it at half off at Hobby Lobby, so I actually got it for $12.50. So make sure you look for those sales. Now I need to go to my tools. I'll probably left something out, but I will bring it up as I'm doing the arrangement. Because this particular little plaque that I bought, obviously it's not going to be hanging. I'm going to leave a little string on there because I think it looks cute. Because then I also plan on recycling it somewhere else. So you might consider that for the bride and groom. Okay, I'm going to be using this little stick to adhere to the back of it so I can stick it into the styrofoam. And also to cut my styrofoam, I'm going to be using this craft knife. Okay, I've got some wire cutters here, scissors. I've got my hot glue gun already plugged in and ready to go. And I've obviously got some glue sticks for my hot glue gun. So I think that is it, and we can get to crafting. Alright everyone, I'm going to prepare my piece of styrofoam that I need for my trough or my container. Forgive my styrofoam, it was in my garage and it's a little messy, dusty or whatever. So just excuse that, the look of it. I'm going to cut a piece out, and I'm going to go ahead and just use this lengthwise. So I'm just going to mark it. Just poke some bits here. Okay, I just marked it with that. You could use a marker, but I did some cutting with some poking. So this is my mark right here. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and continue by just cutting right into it. But I'm actually going to move this over to the edge so I can get my knife to go all the way through. So I will be back once I get this piece cut out. Alright, so I have my piece cut out, and I'm going to take my trough or container, and then I'm going to check it to make sure that I got a good size, and I did. But I want it to go in a little bit deeper. I don't want it to be up above the edge of the container. It does go in on one side, but it doesn't on the other. So what I'm going to do, because this curves in, is I'm going to kind of do a little angle cutting at this bottom corner. Okay, so you're going to cut off like that so that you've got a kind of like an angled corner right here. You could do the same to the other side. So that's what you want to do when you have something that has, you know, it goes in and it's smaller as you go in. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shave off that corner in the back and on the bottom, and also on the other side. So I'll be back after that. Alright, my styrofoam has been cut. I have angled or cut the little corners off of both sides on the bottom. I didn't have to do this edge because this is straight, but if you had another angle here, then of course you would shave this off a little bit, unless it just happens to fit just fine. This is fitting fine, and it's within the container. I don't mind it if it's level to the container, but I prefer it to be in just a little bit, just to make sure that none of it shows on the sides. And it's less covering of styrofoam if it's showing, because then I have to worry about the sides. And here I just have to worry about the top. Okay, so now I want to glue this in. You either have to look at it and see, well, okay, where is it actually touching? Because the styrofoam doesn't actually go all the way to the bottom, and I don't want that necessarily. So you have to look for little areas like, okay, where is it going to touch the metal? So I'm just going to pour glue in those areas because it fits very well here on the sides. Okay, so I'm just finishing up here by adding a little more glue onto these little corners, just to make sure that it is going to stick. And just let it dry. And then what you can do is just kind of flip it over upside down and make sure that it's all sticking. Okay, that's done. So now what I want to do is I want to figure out the placement of my candles. Let me go ahead and pop this open. There we go. Now, you might want to choose some taller ones than that. Okay, I'm going to separate them just a little bit because I think my little sign will go right in here. Yes, I kind of want my sign up a little bit, so it's going to have little sticks. And that's okay because down here the little stick will get covered with flowers and greenery. So let's move these over just a little bit. I don't want them like really just touching. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure so I can center my sign in here. Let me go ahead and prepare this sign. I've got this little wooden dowel. This is really long, so I don't need this whole length. So I'm actually going to cut it in half, and I'm just going to use my wire cutter, some sort of a half here, okay? You want to take off any price tags and things like that. Okay, so I'm just going to put these right about here. Glue. Slide them in and then just put glue over it. But what I would say is let that glue dry first, because if you put more glue on top of it, you're just making like a big bubble of glue, and then what's happening is it'll take longer for it to dry inside. So make sure this glue dries really well, and then go over it to encase a stick like that with glue, and that'll make it really nice and keep it from popping off. Alright, so this is about 24 inches, so I'm going to mark at the 12, and then just do the same on the other side. I'm just using my pencil to make a little indentation in my styrofoam. That tells me that's the center. And now this, I need to add more glue. And then once this is dry, I'm going to go ahead and insert it into my arrangement. So I shall be back. All right, so my sign is ready to be pushed in there, and I've already actually done so, but I've pulled it out just to show you. One of the sticks is a little bit longer than the other. You could just trim them, but if the longer one doesn't go, you know, beyond the container, then you don't have to worry about trimming it off, because you just start poking that longer one first, and then the next one goes in just fine. But I decided that I think I wanted a little bit further back. Now, this particular arrangement, it would be created to put at an entry where you might have their name. You want to have a nice little display, maybe the sign-in book, maybe what is it called, a money tree next to it, or maybe the gifts go next to it. So this would go in the table like that, or maybe you want to have some goodies, some little desserts or little hors d'oeuvres or things like that that you might want to serve. Maybe it's a buffet style where people come and grab their own, and maybe you want to put, instead of doing this, maybe you want to put like a little menu or something on here. Be a cute little idea. Now, if you wanted this as a centerpiece, this would be perfect for a long table, but I wouldn't put anything tall like this at it, because once people are sitting, they're not going to be able to look at the person across. So now I want to do my candles, and I'm going to be using these greenery pins. Okay, so now I want to place my candles right here, because I don't have those little cups. I'm going to be using these little greenery pins, and I've already used this idea in a little previous arrangement, but what I did is I grabbed these pins, put my candle where I wanted it, and then I pushed this in at an angle, and I didn't push it all the way in. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Push it in, and then at what would be the back as far as you're looking at it. And don't try to put it like too close up to it. Just, you know, just enough to where you're marking the space. Okay. Like this one here. And why am I doing this? I'm doing this because I'm not always going to have these candles on here when I'm creating my arrangement, because I don't want to scratch them up. I don't want them to flip off and then, you know, get scratched up maybe on the edge here, or broken even. So I'm marking this where my candles are going to go if I don't have those little cups, so that I know that not to put any flowers here or any moss or anything. And then I can just, if these are battery operated, I can lift them, turn them on and off, place them back on here. Easy, okay? So we're going to take these off now, because I've already got my candle spots marked. If you can see that one there and that one there. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is now I'm going to get some moss, and I'm going to go ahead and start covering this. So I'm not going to cover it too much. What I'm going to do is just kind of go around the edges here where the candle is right here, and then a little bit in here, because once I have the flowers in there, I might not need all that moss to cover. You could cover it after you've actually put flowers in there, but I'm going to go ahead and do that a little bit before, just to show you how that is done. Let's put this, it's actually sitting on the table here. Okay, so I'm going to get a piece or a sheet of it. I'm going to use more than that, but I'm just pulling out this little bit. Now what I do is I like to cut up my greenery, or break it up a little bit, I should say. Push the moss and get it as close to the edge of the container, so you know you're covering that. And then these same greenery pins, you're going to use them to hold down your moss. And once I've done that all the way around my whole piece of styrofoam, I will be back. Okay, so now I'm ready to go ahead and start putting some flowers into my arrangement, and then I'll worry about the rest of the styrofoam, whether it shows through or not. But I've gone ahead and I've all the way around put some moss, so that I know I don't have to worry about those little edges, and I can go ahead and start putting my flowers in there. Alright, I want to point something out, that I'm very repetitive when I do my arrangement videos, or really any other craft, about what I'm doing in my instruction. I do that because I cannot assume that everyone who's watching has seen all of my videos, all of my instructions in my videos, or seen somebody else's and they already know what to do. I can't stand here and just assume you know what I'm talking about. Just do that and then just show you the finished product, right? So I go step by step, because I know that there's going to be people who are new, and maybe this is the first time they ever see one of my videos and one of my tutorials. So they may decide to subscribe and watch my other videos, and then they'll be refreshed as what I'm talking about. Or maybe they just watched my video and they just wanted to watch it that one time. They were looking for that one specific video. They happened to have mine pop up and they decided to watch it, and they know nothing, or they just know a little bit and they need some information. So that is why I do a lot of repetitive, letting y'all know to do this, do that, etc., and how to prepare things. Okay, that being said, you can just skip over to the end if you want and watch how this all turns out, or how I'm finishing it off. I also wanted to say, because in my other arrangements I did put some bows. I completely forgot to grab some bows, so I do, or some ribbon actually. So I want to grab some ribbon and I want to create some bows for my arrangement. So I'm going to go ahead and do that in a little bit, and put those bows in there first, because I like to work around the bows. I don't want to put a whole bunch of flowers and then be like, oh no, where do I put these bows? I may just put one, like one on one, like say this is for a centerpiece. It wouldn't work with a centerpiece, like I already explained with this, but let's just say this was 3 candles here and it's low, and I'm going to use this for a centerpiece. I might want to put one bow in this corner, maybe have the tails of the ribbon kind of intertwining between the flowers on this side, and then maybe for the other side I would put it on this back corner and then put the ribbons going along the back within the flowers. So that kind of gives it a balance. Whatever's here is over here. Okay, so what you do on one side, you do it on the opposite. Now, I could also put 2 bows on the end here, but I like the idea of maybe some greenery spilling out here, so my bows aren't going to work here. Because I think it would be a great idea to have 1 bow here and 1 bow here. I'm going to go with that idea. I could have 2 maybe right here. You can place them wherever you like, but I think I'm going to use the idea of putting 1 here and 1 over here. And I'm not going to make these big bows. I'm just going to make just a couple, maybe 3 loops on each bow. I may use 2 ribbons, maybe 3. Just the third one just to add some little extra ribbon, maybe dangling off of here. Okay, that being said, let me grab my ribbon to make my bows. Alright, so I've already made a bow here, and then I've added some thinner ribbons here for the tail, which is what I'm going to intertwine into the arrangement once I have some flowers there. So now I've got to put one on this other side on this corner. So let me just put this around this way. And I remove the candles because I don't want them falling off. So I'm going to take the 2 ribbons that I like, and this can only be just 1 ribbon. You don't have to use 2. I'm using 2 because they're pretty much sheer, and I do like all these colors, and I want to incorporate them into all the arrangements some way, and I want everything to kind of coordinate. So I'm going to start off with just a little tiny little tail, and I put the lacy one on top of the other one. It doesn't really matter, but that one will be on top for whatever reason I decided. And then I'm just going to make 3 loops. I do have a playlist of how to make handmade bows, so I suggest that you might want to go there so we can make this little video shorter and quick by me making this bow here. And I said I was only going to do 3 loops, which is what I did on the other side. So there we go. And I'm going to trim some short tails. Now I could use a long tail and use that to intertwine in case I didn't purchase some thinner ribbons to coordinate, or I don't want to use them, then just leave a long tail of both, or just 1 ribbon. Okay, so then I'm going to take this other ribbon and pull out some nice long lengths, sort of about the length of the container here, maybe a little bit more, and then I'm just going to double it up, and this just happens to end right here, this particular row. And then just cut it at an angle so you have nice angle cut ends on your ribbon. And then I'm just going to put this up against what I have here. And I need some wire. And I like to use wire cutters to cut wire, but this is a thin wire, so I'm going to go ahead and use my scissors. I still have to sharpen them, so I'm not worried about that. But I should. Okay, so now I'm just going to put my wire around it. And you could use a chenille stem. I personally like to use floral wire for these type of projects because a chenille stem might show through. You can cover it up, but still, it could show through, and I don't really like that. Okay, so you just want to twist it a few times just to make sure it's nice and tight, and then you're going to take a greenery pin and slide it between the 2 tails of wire here. You can see that it's dangling off right now, and then twist the wire so that you tie that greenery pin in there. Once you have it twisted and tight enough, then just take your wire and coil it up and push it up against the back of the bow. There we go, and we've got the greenery pin attached. And now we can use that to insert into the arrangement. And I'll just put a little bit of glue on the little ends there. I'll push that into the corner. Okay. Get all these tails up here in the front. Let me turn this around. Alright, so I need to trim my little ends here, my little tails. I'm folding them in half and cutting from the folded edge towards the ends or the edges to create a dovetail, but you can cut them straight or at an angle. Okay. These are dovetail and then these are just cut at an angle on the ends. So I just pull out the ribbon if I double it up. Pull out the ribbons. Push your tails in whatever direction you want. And then all these, we're just going to pull them forward and out of the way. And then once we have flowers, like I said, we'll intertwine them in there. Okay, so I'm going to start off by adding some greenery that comes off the side so that I make sure that they're inserted there and I don't cover a flower. So I'm going to take my greenery that's ivy with a long bits like this. See how it's got like little viney long ends, and I want to take the longer bits. So let me cut those out, and I'm going to use my wire cutters for that. I'm starting to realize that these flowers are sort of in the way. Okay, so I'm cutting off the longer bits of greenery here. Now, one of them has a little bit of extra greenery in it, and that's fine. The other one doesn't. I probably cut it off for something else, and that's fine because I do have some extras here. So I'll just cut off a piece. I'm going to now put some greenery in there. I don't need this little leaf at the very bottom because I need that stem to fall in there. So what I'm doing is that I'm curving it so that I can stick it in there, and then my greenery flows this way. Now there is a handle right here. What I can do is I can go in the handle and then stick it into the styrofoam. So I'm going to do that and put some glue on there. That way that handle is still there and I can reach in and lift it up like that. Okay? And there's not greenery in the front of it. Okay, so let me get this long piece and then this shorter one and do the same to the other side. Some glue in it. And then I'm also making sure, because here's the little pick, the little greenery pin for my candle. I don't want to go within this space here because that's where my candle goes. So just right behind it is where I put this. And I'm going to have the longer one, and just bend it however you want. Give it a natural flow. And I'm going to put the bigger one towards the back because I had the bigger one going towards the front over here. And then I'll take this shorter one. Again, I'm going to cut off a little bit off of here so that I have enough stem to stick into my arrangement. Get some glue in the little tip there. Okay, we'll fix this bow later once we have all our flowers in there. We make sure that it's nice. It's getting a little crushed right now, but that's okay. This one I kind of poofed it up because I was looking at it, making sure it was fine, the size. But you see, I'm over here squishing it down. I'm just trying to get it out of the way so I can look in there. So now I'm going to take some ferns so that I can get some ferns coming out of the sides as well. And just cut those off, and I'm going to give you a little tip about those as well. So let me cut some long ones and then some shorter ones. I don't want to put too many. Here, these are good. Okay. Put some off. Now let me give you a little tip on those. Let's move it this way, out of the way. There we go. Lots of noise. For those of you with earbuds, sorry. Okay, so I'll take these two longer ones. Now, so I snipped them off at the bottom, and now there's really no stem. So they just cut along this little hard plastic part. Just cut along the edge of it, and cut enough of these little leaves so that you have enough of a stem, and then cut on the other side of it as well. turn that off. So now you have a stem on it, okay? Now this stem kind of flares out a little bit. So I'm going to use my wire cutters and kind of do like a little bit of a little more sharper edge there at the bottom. So then I can poke it into my styrofoam. And I'm going to put a fern in there. This one I'm not going to put it under the handle because it's kind of wide and I think it would be kind of weird. You can just push it off to the side and grab the handle. Okay. But this is also bendable, so make sure you bend it so that it's going down. You don't want it sticking up, and then, like I said, if it's a centerpiece, you don't want it sticking up. It's going to cover people from looking at each other. Okay, since I put the fern kind of towards the back to the bow, I'm going to put this one towards the front near the bow. And then I'm going to do the separate, or the opposite with these guys here. Making sure I'm not putting it anywhere where the candle's going to lay or sit. I love this fern, and I love this dusty kind of look, the green on there. I love it, and as you can see, the ivy's got a more intense green, so it coordinates very well because they're not the same greens. They're different, and you want that. You want to bring lots of texture into your arrangement, and that's what will make it look a lot nicer. Okay, you guys, let's get to the flowers before I put any more greenery. I just wanted to put those there so I knew that, okay, I'm not going to stick a flower right there. I'm going to go ahead and get my flowers, and I will be back. All right, I went ahead and I pulled out 8 large flowers, and I set them here. Now, these could all be the exact same flower, or they could be different flowers. So I'm going to take a dahlia, one of these pink ones, or like I said, it could be all the same. It doesn't have, you don't have to be different. I'm going to want to put this one here, but it's a little too high because, again, it's a centerpiece, so I want it low. Now, because I'm going to put this against the wall, I could actually have some really tall ones back here, but I want to make this so that you can see how to create a centerpiece. Okay. Let's put one right in here. You guys, I just realized something that a little thing that I told myself and I have said is to make sure you put the flower where the candle's not going to be, and I just happened to stick this one in there, so I'm going to have to pull that one out and make sure that it's not going to be in the way, and I'm bending this one a little bit forward here, and then I'll fix the bow, of course. Let's put this candle right there just to make sure that it looks nice. Right there, it does. Very nice. Okay, let me pull this one out, and I'm going to go opposite. Over here, and bend it this way. I think the other one's further in. Yeah, it is. Okay, so I'm just making sure this little space here, I'll put my candles on there, is not taken over by that. So now I'm going to take, because I have different flowers, if not I would take the same flower. I have different flowers, so now I'm going to take 2 of the other ones. There we go. And I'm actually going to cut off any stems that are sticking up the bottom here, because I need a nice long stem there. And this one is too long, so I'm actually going to cut it and then take off any little things that are going to be keeping it from pushing in. And then I'm going to do opposite of what I did to these flowers, but further in, like this way, okay? So push it in far enough so it's not, okay, this is a little too high, so I'm going to cut off some of it. A little bit. Let's get that in there. The glue. And then bend your flower so that it's not like up here, but a little bit to the, you can see it from the side over here. Let me do that to this other stem that I prepared, but I need to cut it shorter. It's too long. Okay, let's cut it. This one fell, and I think that was the one that I was actually supposed to use. Okay, so now, because I did this one on this side, I'm going to do this one on this side, but not way over here, but just a little bit further in. And then bend it so you see it from the front rather than having to look down on it and see the flower. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. Let me turn this around like that. See, it looks just like this side. And then we go like that. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to keep building. I'm going to put whatever flower I put here, I'm going to put it on this side. And they're not going to be right up aligned with each other. They're going to be a little bit off, okay? So I'm going to continue with this dahlia. And I'm going to hold it up against the arrangement, and I want it to be about so high. And it only has to go into my styrofoam so much, so this is where I'm going to cut it. Of course, I don't want to cover my sign. So put this one right here. As long as it's not covering the sign, it's perfect. And we do the opposite on the other side of the sign. Okay, so now I still got these flowers, these roses, and I want to do the same thing. Put a rose on this side and one on this side, okay? Opposites, but your stem's short enough so you don't cover your sign. Now, like I said, if this wasn't a centerpiece and this is going to be against, there's going to be a wall back here, then I can put big, tall flowers back here and even some ferns coming out from the back. But I'm doing a centerpiece. I'm doing both sides the same. Now, this sign would not be in a centerpiece. I just wanted to use that. I think it looks really cute. You could do a little sign like that. You could still build it like this and put it up against the wall. You know, not against the wall, but where there's a wall behind it. You know, just make it as a centerpiece and do that if you want. Instead of making a massive arrangement. Because the bigger you go, the more flowers and greenery you need to fill in. So just keep that in mind. The taller I would go over here, then I need more flowers to fill in down here and more greenery to fill in between, so then I would need to get more. And when I keep things low like this, you're only using this line to put flowers and greenery, and you don't have to worry about up here, so you're actually using less. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep putting some flowers in there. And I'm going to go ahead and use the other flowers that were in the bush. I'm going to grab them and I shall be back. Alright, so my bush had all these other flowers in there, and I don't want to use these big roses because I already have roses in here, so I'm going to save these for another project. And it does have only 2 rosebuds, but I'm going to go ahead and use those. It's got 2 of the, or yeah, 3 of these actually. So I'm going to use that. And then it's got the hydrangea, so I'm going to use that. Okay, and then I've got the lavender flowers right here as well that I want to incorporate in there. So let's get these flowers in there. I think I'd like a nice, like, kind of tall flower right here on each side of my sign, or if you had a frame. So I'm going to go ahead and use these roses, but let me see how tall it needs to be. About so much. And remember, battery operated, because these were lit up with fire. These little leaves get in there, you're going to have a fire hazard. Okay, so this is the length that I wanted, but I'm going to a little extra to insert it into the arrangement. So let me straighten it back up again. This little curve that I made. And you just kind of bend it a little bit, so let me push this greenery down a little bit. I don't know that I like it up here. Okay. And then I'll do the same thing with the other side. Look how pretty that looks already. Okay, let me give you a little bit of a... I'm saving all these leaves, you guys. I have a trash can here where they're kind of tossing them in, but they're on the very top of what's already a very full trash can. Okay, and I can just grab them. So look how beautiful that looks already on this end. It's getting full with flowers. And over here. Okay, so I'm going to use these hydrangeas in here and back here. Okay, I have 3 pieces. I'm going to do an executive decision. If I had 4, it would be perfect. But I'm going to do an executive decision that I have 3. So I'm going to take one of them and put it back here, right here, on this side of the container, or this half. I'm going to cut it pretty short. A little bit of glue. I'm working back here, putting it right here, okay, but in the back. And there's going to be a flower right there. Let me pull it up a little bit, it's too low. I want it to kind of be at the level of these flowers here when I put it in the back, because this is going to go up against the wall. If it was a centerpiece, And then obviously it would be the same all the way around, or there would be a candle right here. So you want to keep that in mind, that there could be a candle here instead of the sign. Okay, now because this is the front of mine, I'm going to go ahead and use these two, but I'm going to cut them like really short because I don't want them to hide the sign. For some reason my hot glue gun is not working, so I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to stick flowers in. Is it plugged in? I'll check it in a little bit. Okay. Looking at my viewfinder, I put these here in the front. I think that looks really pretty. Okay, now in the back, oops, get out of my way. I only put one, and if I had an extra one, I would have put that. I probably do from other bushes that I've cut, but I didn't look through my stuff. Actually, I see one right now. So let me go and see what's wrong with my glue gun. Grab another one of these little hydrangea bits and put it in the back. Alright, so after some investigating, I cannot conclude what is wrong with my glue gun. I really want to get going with this. Guess what, guys? Today, February the 13th, is my husband's birthday, and I want to take him to dinner, so I want to get this video done. I haven't even checked the time. The clock behind me is completely wrong. Okay, I want to get these, and I want to have them coming out because I have a lot of ivory here, so I want to have something ivory kind of coming out with these leaves. So I just want to cut this long enough where I can stick it into the styrofoam and then have it dangle out. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the first greenery, where I stuck it under the handle and then just bend this so that it goes into the styrofoam and it doesn't go into the styrofoam where the candle will rest. So just keep an eye on that. Yeah, okay, that brings out this over here. So I want to do it to the other side as well. And then just kind of bend it so it kind of goes up a little bit so that it's not like hiding underneath the fern greenery, but you're still able to get your hands in there and grab the handles. That's if you have handles there. Otherwise, don't worry about it, okay? I have a third one, but I'm going to go ahead and, well, no, you know what? I do have another one like it, so I'll go ahead and use 4 of those. Okay. Let me go ahead and recap here my large flowers. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 5 large flowers that are going to be my focal. And then I have some fillers, which are these, and then these. So these are like medium to smaller flowers that coordinate with the large ones. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 smaller flowers. And then I'm going to have fillers, which are these. And I have 4 so far that I'm going to use. And then I'm going to grab the other lavender bits here, and these are also going to be my fillers, so then we'll see how many of those. Oh, my glue gun is suddenly working, you guys. Okay, I'm going to do this here on the other side of this rosebud. Look how pretty that is. It does kind of go across this little sign or frame, but it doesn't really cover whatever's on there, okay? You can still see. Okay, so I grabbed another one that I had cut from another bush. I had left over, so I'm putting it on this other side, so opposite like that, diagonal. Okay, now I'm going to grab these lavenders and remove some of the bottom stems and decide where I want those. I think I'm going to cut them kind of short to fit between, let's say like these 2 flowers, like right here, back here, kind of on the other side of the bow. Let me cut these kind of short. And I'm going to stick one in here on this side, see how that looks. And that looks really pretty. I'm going to also take that. Let's see, let me grab another one. What I'm doing is I'm cutting it short. The neat thing about it is that it can be bent, okay? So between these 2 flowers in front of the candle, let me see. Oh, this leaf belongs to this. Push it in there. And see, it's a thin filler flower that doesn't really cover my candle, and I'm bending it so that it's not really any taller than my candle also, okay? And keep it low. And then here all I have to do is maybe add a little bit of greenery here. The same on this other side. I want to put more of this lavender, so what I'm going to do now, because I put that one on that side, I want to put this one on this side, and I want to to come out the side over here. So this one's going to be a little bit longer. I'm just going to trim a little bit off of it. My glue gun's working again, so let me push. I thought I had turned it on, but no, it was on. Okay, and I'm looking in there to make sure that I'm not putting it where my candle's, I mean, my candle's in there right now, but could have moved a little bit, and maybe it's on top of the pin, and it's not. It's laying where it's supposed to. So now I'm putting it over on this side and kind of bending it downward a little bit. Not too much. I want it to still stick out of my arrangement. So let me get another one. This one looks kind of full. Oh, that's got like 2 stems on that one. Let me see. Okay. Lots of greenery there. I don't need to use all of that because I can use it for something else. Okay, I'm going to trim a little bit off of it, like I said. And I'm going to go over on this side. Behind, this was behind the dahlia. So behind this dahlia, but clearing that area and then bending it so it's sticking out like that to the side, but it's not like any taller than the candle. Okay, so look at that, you guys. I think it's looking very, very pretty. So I'm going to take some of that ivy that I used on the ends here, and then I have 2 bits left over from what was left on that one bush. These I'm not going to use. I think I have enough of this. So I'm going to take these off the table so it's nice and clear. So I'm going to take that, and I'm going to grab another bush because I said I bought 3 of them, I believe. And I have 2 that are still pretty much full. I think I may have cut a little bit off of one other one, but I have plenty of it. But I'm going to cut like the little short bits so I can put within these flowers and then put some in the back. So whatever I do to the front that you're looking at, I'm going to do to the other side. Okay, so let me grab that and I'll be back. Alright, so I've cut some shorter bits from another vine. Here they are. And then this was a long piece that I just cut into 2. And I'm going to use this one to stick between the 2 little hydrangeas here. And just stick it far in. Make sure it's not covering your picture here. And then the other piece, you can bend it forward. Let me see. I can't see you guys, so looking at the viewfinder. Stick it so that it's coming out the front. So again, whatever I do to the front, I'm going to do to the back. So I'm just going to take greenery pieces. If I have to push up pieces like that, because these are just little short stem that were on that bush. They're not little vine bits. So these are like just a stem bit. I can trim. I can move the leaves up and down. So I'm going to trim these short, like about so. And I just want these to fill in between flowers. So I can go under this right here, put one there. Let me go ahead and do it on the back real quick here. And then just look at your arrangement and see where else could you use some greenery, okay? So I'm looking at it on this side, and I know that I'm going to need some between these 2 flowers. And these are kind of tall, so it's okay to go ahead and stick that one in there. I'll kind of trim it. And just make sure it's not in the candle space there. There we go. Just right there. That looks nice. Whatever I do there, do it to the back. And then at this point, you can also be looking at your arrangement and see if there's any styrofoam showing. Could you put some greenery there, or should you just put some moss? Okay. Let's see, I've got 3 pieces, so I'm just going to use 2. I'm actually going to use this one on this side of the candle so that I've got some greenery coming up this way. I just bend it slightly. Do the same thing on this side, and I think that will be it as far as greenery is concerned into my arrangement. I think it's lovely. So the other thing I want to do is I'm going to take these ribbons and just kind of tangle them in between the flowers here and there. So I'll need to turn it around so I can see, but you can just use your own judgment as how you want to do that. If you feel like, oh, it's just too many strings, you can trim some of them shorter or just not put that many strings of ribbon, okay? And then fluff up your bow, of course, and the little tails. And once I've done that, I will come back with the completed project. So here's my arrangement all completed. I have flowers all the way around and all the greenery, and I've interlaced the ribbon into the flowers. I don't know if you can see that. There's some spots where the sheer laces roll through here, and then the other ends of these thin ribbon, I trimmed them off, made them nice and short, so they just kind of dangle off here on the bottom. One of them has wire, so I kind of twirled it around a little bit, curled it, and then I've poofed up my bows, and my arrangement is complete. This is project number 4. It is a Entryway floral centerpiece, and that is what I'm going to be calling it. So I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up, and I hope that you too will leave me a big old thumbs up and leave a nice comment down below and let me know what you think. Is this an idea you're going to recreate? I think it would be awesome for centerpieces, like I said, with maybe a third candle in the center. Thank you to everyone who has been subscribing, and make sure you do subscribe if you haven't done so. So hit the button and also the notification bell so that you get notified of when I put up videos, which is every Tuesday and every Friday. So this month of February, it has been my farmhouse series. So I've had a craft video on Tuesdays and on Fridays, and I'll continue until this series is done. But after that, I will go back to doing crafts on Tuesday and a recipe on Friday. And once in a while, I'll throw in a weekend vlog. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure you share on your social medias. And as always, enjoy.